If you're heading to college, whether it's your first time or you're pursuing an advanced degree, a big piece of the puzzle is how you will pay for it. Many college-bound students will need to seek financial assistance to cover their tuition and other college expenses. Applying for federal financial aid in the form of grants, loans, or a combination of the two is a very common way for students to get the financial support they need. But applying for financial aid can be a challenging and confusing process for students and sometimes their families. So let's break down what you'll need as you prepare to apply and what you'll need to include in your application. First, what is the FAFSA? FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The free part is very important. If you ever encounter a website that requests payments to apply for aid, it could be a scam. You'll never be asked for any credit card or payment information when using the Federal Student Aid website. The FAFSA form is needed for any student who wishes to apply for loans, grants, or participate in a federal work-study program. Most students who apply through the FAFSA will qualify for some sort of aid. Studentaid.gov is your best resource to not only find the FAFSA form, but for anything else you might want or need to know regarding federal financial aid. It's important to know that the Department of Education does occasionally make changes to the form to make the process simpler or in response to regulatory changes, so keep that in mind as we move forward. Where do you start? A good place to begin is to simply know your deadlines. Each year, the new FAFSA will open October 1st for the next school year. While the form remains open for completion or corrections until June 30th, or the end of the school year, it is recommended that you complete the form as early as possible. For example, the FAFSA for the 2022-2023 school year opened October 1st, 2021, and the deadline for completion is June 30th, 2023. However, states and even individual schools may have their own deadlines that will be important for you to become familiar with. Since there are some types of aid awarded on a first-come, first-served basis, applying early may impact your award amount. Next, you should request your Federal Student Aid FSA ID. If you are a dependent student, which we will discuss in more detail later, your parents will need one as well. Since it takes 2 to 3 days to receive your FSA ID, do this in advance of filling out your FAFSA. When you request your ID, enter your name and social security number as they appear on your social security card. Before you sit down to fill out your form, you should gather all the information or documents you might need to fill out the form. This includes identification information like your driver's license and your social security number, your tax returns from the last 2 years, and information about your financial assets. For dependent students, parents will be a big part of the process. It's a good idea to set up a time when you can fill out the form together. Now let's jump into the form. You'll want to set aside about an hour to fill it out completely. You have the option to fill out a paper version, complete the form online, or use the My Student Aid mobile app. The most common way to complete the form is online. You can head to FAFSA.gov to get started by clicking Start Here. At the beginning of the form, you'll create a save key, which is a temporary password that you can use if you need to go back to the form again later to finish it. Students and parents, if needed, will be required to fill out their personal information, including citizenship, social security number, legal residence, number of people in the household, and marital status. Next, you will need to include at least one school you wish to have your information sent to. You should list any school you plan to apply to and can list up to 10 schools on the online form or on the mobile app. Each college or university has a unique code that can be found on the studentaid.gov website. You will use these codes to list your selected schools. Up next, you'll need to identify whether you are an independent student or a dependent student. Let's talk about the qualifications for each. The Department of Education defines an independent student as meeting one or more of the following: at least 24 years old, married, a graduate or professional student, a veteran, a member of the armed forces, an orphan, a ward of the court, someone with legal dependents other than a spouse, an emancipated minor, or someone who is homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. A dependent student does not meet any of the qualifications of an independent student. If you are a dependent student, your parents will need to provide their financial information. Sometimes it can be tricky to determine whose information to include if your parents are no longer together. Generally, If your parents are not together, but you primarily lived with one parent, or one parent provided the majority of your financial support, that is the information you should include. This also includes step-parents if they are married to the parents whose information you are including on your FAFSA. Now you're ready to provide your financial information. Fortunately, you can have this information automatically transferred to the FAFSA using the IRS data retrieval tool. If you use this tool, you will be routed to the IRS website to locate your information. You must enter your information exactly as it appears on your tax return. If you use this tool, you will see transferred from the IRS on your FAFSA form instead of your tax information. Using this tool can be a big time saver, and it ensures the information you've provided is accurate. The information FAFSA receives from the IRS cannot be changed. If your circumstances have changed since you filed your return or you filed an amended return, speak to your school's financial aid office about your situation and whether it makes sense to adjust the information on your FAFSA form. While it is encouraged that you use the information transferred from the IRS, you do have the ability to clear it and enter your information manually by selecting the Reset FAFSA button. It's time to submit your FAFSA. Before you submit it for processing, you will need to sign it. The option that will allow the fastest processing is to sign the FAFSA electronically using your FSA ID and submit the form online. However, you also have the option to print, physically sign it, and mail your signature page. If you sign and submit your FAFSA electronically, you will receive a confirmation, which is how you know your FAFSA has been successfully submitted. You'll be able to see the status of your application as soon as it is submitted, and it will be one of the following: processing, processed successfully, missing signatures, action required. Expect it to take a few days to be processed and to be available to the schools you listed. Your next big question might be how and when to expect to know your award amount. Your school will calculate your financial aid award, and each school has its own timeline and process. It may also have additional documents you'll need to complete. Make sure to check with the school's financial aid office if you have any questions. We hope you found this video helpful. Best of luck in your future education endeavors.